You're listening to Sound Opinions from Chicago Public Radio and American Public Media. We are here with Wayne, Coyne, and Steven Drozd of the Flaming Lips. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Greg.
There's one more Flaming Lip, Michael, and then there's another, almost member of the Flaming Lips, Kliph, our drummer who plays live. So we just wanted to let everybody know they weren't just cowering in the corner.
Ivans we did invite.
Right, you did. Yeah,
but he's busy playing with the UFO.
Exactly, yeah.
The UFO is part of the live show that the Flaming Lips are taking around the country, certain select venues. The UFO drops in, makes a visitation. We should point out the Flaming Lips have been around for 25 years. This is a band that, as Wayne Coyne once described to me, couldn't play, had a singer that couldn't sing from a town that no one knew where it was.
Wow.
Nonetheless, here they are 25 years later.
You can only go up from there.
Yeah,
right?
What an amazing career.
Well, we've done this before. You guys have been kind enough to come by Sound Opinions before in many incarnations. Greg and I have been fans for a long time. One of the things, Wayne, having written a book about you guys, came out last year.
Right.
One of the things that fascinates me.
It's a beautiful book. It is, yeah. Mm.
Oh, you don't have to say that.
Staring at sound.
I didn't pay you. You don't have to say that.
Yeah.
Is that you have this history of a quarter century, and Pink Floyd is a band both you, Stephen, and you, Wayne, love, and I love, and we love. It's a common ground. One of the things I've always found fascinating about that career was they were really four different bands over the course of 30 or 40 years.
Exactly. You mean like, they reinvented themselves. Second act and third act. Yeah.
Right, in the Dark Side years, and then the post, Waters feuding with Gilmore years.
Exactly, yeah.
And we're at a point with the Flaming Lips' extraordinary career where the same can be said of you guys. There were the indie rock 80s. There was the weird career in the 90s alternative rock where suddenly you guys are on Beverly Hills 90210.
Yeah.
And there is whatever you are today, which is like nothing else.
Well, I think that
on the
started
pop music spectrum.
with the Soft Bulletin in '99. Whole new audience came into the band.
Exactly.
And that was like the third or fourth incarnation of the band, right? Wayne and Steven? I mean, it was...
absolutely,
It's amazing how... your manager, Scott Booker, once said to me, every time it seemed like our head was on the chopping block and it was all over. The career was done. Nobody wanted to hear Flaming Lips music anymore. Something remarkable would happen, and the band would be reinvented and find a new generation of listeners. And now... arguably more popular than ever, playing sold-out shows around the world.
Exactly,
you're a festival band.
Well, I mean, you would like to think that we would change even if we were, a mega successful band and thought just because, we had these visions that we would go off in these weird directions anyway. But it's hard to say. I do sometimes think that the... we have no other choice. No one likes what we're doing anyway. We may as well just, pursue something else. It does free you up to follow without, with utterly thinking, well, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, we could fail. And right. I think that's, if anything, there's a lesson to be learned in the Flaming Lips, that don't fear failure. I mean, especially in art, I think it's the main thing that holds people back. They think, oh, well, maybe people won't like us. And I mean, in our sense, that's really, I think it's the only thing that saved us, that we appeared to be brave when I think in reality we had no choice.
Yeah, the things that happened to us actually helped us out. Like when Ronald Jones was a guitar player till 1996, and that was in the middle of our alternative rock heyday, as you know. And after he left, we were forced to try to come up with some other way of making music, and it's something we wanted to do anyway. So it actually really worked out for the best. And then we ended up doing Zyreka and the Soft Bulletin, and you're not the alternative guitar rock band anymore. You're doing something completely different.
You came into the band a little later. Wayne and Michael are sort of like the core members of the Lips.
I call them the elders.
25. Yes, the elders.
25 years.
What did you think of this band before you had joined it? What was your impression of it? Because, the Lips of mid-'80s, people would listen to those records now, I think, Wayne, and think, huh? What?
Yeah.
That's the same band?
I do that.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think the first time I really listened to Flaming Lips was when In Appreciative Hamlets came out. That was a record that came out in 1990, and that was a big change for the band because
I think that was
the original drummer had quit, and they got Jonathan Donahue on guitar and Nathan on drums.
And Jonathan, who went on, did Mercury Rev.
Yeah. And the musicality and the quality and the production, Dave Fridman, all that, that was
everything got stepped up. But that was really the first stuff I knew, and for me, in my mind, it jived with exactly what I was wanting to hear, like loud, like psychedelic rock guitar with almost these, there's some hokum and balladry involved, Rain and Baby, stuff like that. So for me, it was everything I would was hoping would happen with music. So, but I didn't really have the past before that with the Flaming Lips.
What was interesting to me, too, about that record that you mentioned in A Priest-Driven Ambulance, you get hit with this a lot now, Wayne, but at the time it was revelatory to hear, in the midst of this time of sort of incredible cynicism and cooler-than-thou-ness going on in the indie rock community, you're doing this non-ironic cover of a Louis Armstrong, a song associated with Louis Armstrong, What a Wonderful World.
Exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the sort of sense of optimism and everyday psychedelia is like everyday life's a psychedelic experience if you want it to be.
I see trees are green and red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
We were trying and not succeeding at all in being one of these life is miserable, sort of dark, brooding, heavy psychedelic bands. And really, to my amazement, when I heard it afterwards, I really thought, even though this is not ironic, we can't seem to find really what is the message we're saying in there other than just what the song is about.
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow are so pretty in the sky. It's also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you.
Stephen, I think it's always interesting to hear you talk about it. What was it that connected when you heard this record? And then, a matter of weeks later, basically they say, hey, you want to come by and see if you can play drums with us?
Well, yeah, it wasn't that quick, but I mean, it was pretty close though. For me, I guess my impression was that, yeah, again, it was this great hard rock riff stuff, but it also had this other side of just melancholy, almost like sort of ballady kind of songs. Or There You Are, that's another example of it's just acoustic and some weird sound effects, and just to my ear, no one else is doing anything like that at that point.
You're listening to Sound Opinions from Chicago Public Radio and American Public Media. We'll be back in a minute with more of our chat with the Flaming Lips.
And I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I think to myself, what a wonderful
Welcome back to Sound Opinions from Chicago Public Radio and American Public Media. We're going to continue our conversation with Wayne Coyne and Steven Drozd of the Flaming Lips and talk a little bit about their tenure with Warner Brothers Records. They came out of Oklahoma City in 1983, but it wasn't until 92 when they signed with Warner's and released Hit to Death in the Future Head that the Lips recorded for a major label. When we had Wayne and Steven in the studio last week, we asked them what it was like to become major label artists.
We'd seen a lot of bands signed to Warner Brothers, or bigger labels or whatever, and still took it as this is just simply us doing our art. Who really cares? And our philosophy changed a bit then because we thought, well, if we've got this label that can spend $1 billion promoting your record, why don't we make a record that
is worth $1 billion.
That you could do that if you wanted to. I mean, why have them there and not take advantage of it? And I would say to people who think, well, isn't this some kind of compromise? And it's not. I mean, I think to be imaginative, and especially the word creative. I mean, creative means you'll brush your teeth with a spare tire if you need to. Whatever it takes, you'll get it done.
So part of the uniqueness of you, Wayne Coyne, is that you would actually try that. Stephen, was he like this? I mean, we could give him 3 matchsticks and a roll of duct tape, and he would build a stage set.
If we went away with duct tape, anything's possible.
I want to get back to what Wayne was just saying about the ambition when you guys signed to Warner's, and the second album for Warner's, I believe, Transmissions from the Satellite Heart. It didn't jibe with what you guys were doing earlier in the sense of that ambition. When I remember putting that record on, back when they had cassettes, right?
Sure.
Got in advance of it, and then stick it in a little Walkman, and putting it on my headphones and listening to it in this before this godforsaken show out in some suburb of Chicago. I was waiting for the show to start, and I think, I'll listen to this record. And I remember just walking for an hour out into this field, listening to this record and having my mind blown, thinking I was listening to 4D sound or something.
Well,
it was
cool.
like I was hearing layers in the music, and I thought, how can this little cassette be communicating all this information to my brain and overloading it? The skies are parting now. I've seen something really amazing happen.
Wow.
So with that record, Transmissions from the Satellite Heart, 1993, was there a sense of, we're going to pour everything we've got into this, and we're going to make this really sonically layered, beautiful record, even though nobody may ever hear it?
Honestly, it's worse not to make the record that you want, because who knows, that could probably fail just as miserably too. I mean, we always knew that. I think this sense of just, let's make the sort of record we want. You go in there and you keep fighting away, finding ideas, turning mistakes into the things that are really working for you. Your songs can take any shape they want. You get to experiment. You get to live with your ideas for a little while. All that sort of stuff. That's what we learned making those earliest records. And by the time Steven and Ronald came along, I think we had a certain confidence that even if we couldn't make records that anybody bought, we could make cool sounding records that we would like anyway. And, at some point you really are just making art, and you're saying, it pleases us, and who knows what's going to happen.
I think because of the sonic density that Greg was talking about, that incredible listening experience that every Flaming Lips record is, often, though, your songwriting gets short shrift. And Steven and Wayne, you guys really are the core of the songwriting team now. And for years, when you've done these radio interviews, we've been trying to get you to show us how a song develops. Now, you think that this is not an interesting process, but I've had the experience of hearing some of your cassettes, of you sitting in your living room with, you got 2 crummy chords on that ratty old acoustic guitar of yours, and then it becomes, that's Do You Realize? That's how it started? What are you talking about? Or, Steven, you've got I got this little 3-note riff,
sure,
and then that becomes... So we got the piano here. Will you show us a little bit how this actually...
Should we do it as like you name a song?
Or do whatever you want, whatever you want to play.
Well, did we mention She Don't Use Jelly? I mean, it's interesting because you guys did sort of get typecast with that song. It was your breakthrough hit.
Yeah.
It was the wiggy novelty hit.
It got you guys typecast a little bit as a novelty band, even though when you really listen to the song in the context of that record, I thought it was a beautiful, poignant song. It was this bubblegum song with this poignant lyric. And at the same time, there was this amazing production going on around it. But yet, it sort of typecast you guys as kind of like, the novelty, one-hit wonder band.
Yeah, that's true, I think, of anybody who gets a singular sort of song.
Yeah.
I mean, if
you compare it to like Radiohead and Creep, I think they still don't play Creep because they don't just like that connection of that part of their career.
But without anybody knowing, having a simple vision of who you are, they never get you in the first place. So we have accepted since then that it's better to get in there, whatever they think of you, and have them know at least one of your songs or your name.
You exist, right?
Yeah. When we did She Don't Use Jelly, even when we were in the studio, I think we all thought that's got a catchiness that could be like a hit. And so I think when the song started, we'll go over to the piano.
Sure.
All right, we'll go over to the piano.
Hello, hello, hello.
So I think the section of the song where it says, I know a girl who thinks of ghosts. I think that is like when you talk about this simple songwriting, I don't even think I knew what the chords were per se, but you play chords and you sing and this thing comes out. And I do remember it came out almost like you hear it in that sense, where it's a chord and that lyric and that melody.
Yeah, you had acoustic guitar and you're singing, and that was pretty much intact.
Yeah, and you could say, well, that's a good enough start because it's a melody and it's chords and it's got a little point to the lyric and it's got a little, it's got some hook to it. And so the hook was based around just that part. I know a girl who thinks of ghosts. She'll make you breakfast. She'll make you toast. But she don't use butter. And she don't use cheese. She don't use jelly or any of these. She uses Vaseline.
Of course, there's no piano on it, actually.
Yeah. So it would just be cheap, badly
Acoustic
played
guitar.
simple chords. But I think you can
Now
hear
wait
that.
a minute. Now it is not logical necessarily. You just like I had this line, thinks of ghosts, and then the rest of the verse came. Most people, Wayne, wouldn't have gone to Vaseline. Where'd the Vaseline come?
I know.
She puts Vaseline on her. What is he talking about?
Well, but a lot of times, and a lot of songwriters will do this. They'll simply just sing a sound of a word that sounds cool, and you just will say, well, through somehow I'll make that make sense in my song. For the same reason, a painter would put a piece of purple within a tree. He just said, you don't have to have any logic to it. In your mind, you understand why you would do it. I knew that I had this thought of putting on chapstick and butter on toast. And I do remember at some point someone saying, I don't like chapstick because you get it in your mouth. And I talked about argumentative in the same way. Isn't butter just like... But you have to remember, this was back before you could buy chapstick that had just a bunch of flavors. I mean, nowadays every lip balm is some great flavor. Back then it was just simply some crappy petroleum jelly. And I mean, I'm glad that it was there, but it was very boring. But this idea of Vaseline on toast seemed almost too gross or too... It was just repellent. But in a sense, it really is not that big of a deal.
This is great. We've been talking about this song, him and I, since 1993. That's the first time I've ever heard that. Because now, in my mind, I can see exactly you having a 4-hour argument with somebody about how is putting Vaseline on your lips any different than putting butter on toast.
Right. I mean, it's very normal.
Yeah,
but
you're weird, Wayne.
But
You're
I
weird.
could
People
understand
don't talk about that stuff.
where the
You
audience would think of that song, especially Vaseline having the sexual connotation that it does, and I think
that's the
fun.
other great thing, because there is this school of rock critic fanzine theory that came out around that time that this is this song with its 3 verses is actually code for sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Yeah,
because we have the girl who goes to shows, we have the girl who puts Vaseline on her toast, and then we have the girl who blows her nose, or the guy who blows his nose, blow nose, right?
Yeah. And then we have Cher, as I guess because the last lyric is,
Right.
I know a girl who reminds me of Cher. She's always changing the color of her hair, but she don't use nothing that you buy at the store. She likes her hair too. I can see them laughing in their head. Be real orange. She uses tangerines. Now that's not rock and roll. That's Cher with orange hair. But I can see where,
what do you do with
if
that?
any, if you're looking for an answer, as usual, you'll find it, and that's what I think. That's what you do. Yeah.
The drum sound on that record is pretty remarkable. Was there any particular, other than the fact that you're a really good drummer, Steven, what the heck was that sound? It was kind of like, I described it as sort of Bonham-esque at the time. It was very heavy, and you were writing these kind of pop songs, but they had this huge sound. It was
we
it was
thought that
heavy.
was an interesting thing to try to do. I think where that came from me originally was, and it's our drum sound ended up being so much more extreme than that. But actually, it was the drum sound on U2 War. I always thought Larry Mullen's drums were kind of distorted and overdriven, which they are.
Yeah.
Nothing like we had on Transmissions. And we had recorded one song for Transmissions called "Teenagers in the Himalayas." And we just recorded the drum kit like you normally record a drum kit with
in our old style. In a
just
sense,
you'd mic everything up close
Yeah.
mics, maybe a little bit of room mics, and there was no overdriven sound or distortion. And it just seemed real flat. And then luckily the very next song we did was Slow Nerve Action, which was the opposite of that, where the drums are completely blown out. I mean, they're distorted with an effects processor and through the board and all that. And then we just decided that would be the drum sound for the rest of the record, just toned down.
And that was truly Steven's doing. I mean, he had the style, but again, it's not just that you have this ability to play. I mean, when we're talking about records, it's about how do you record it? What is the sound? And if you stand in a room, like even if you stood in this room and Steven was playing, the fact is your ears would distort because he's playing so loud that your ears hear the sense of a distortion. But if your engineers were doing their job correctly, they would record it in there, and there would be none of this distortion. It would be this utterly clean, drums being hit. And we would always fight about this idea of like, man, it doesn't sound like that to me. It sounds... And really, Steven just said, well, let's just distort it. And the second you hear it, you're like, yeah. And then you just go a little bit further and say, well, let's distort it a bunch. And then it's just a lucky combination.
I think a key part of this band was obviously the live performances. I can memorably recall the shows with that four-piece lineup. When Ronald leaves the band, clearly a kind of a watershed moment again, right? Steven and Wayne, I mean, thought like, okay, what are we going to do now? We've got a different lineup all of a sudden.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, as we realized what endless potential this weird, shy guitar player had, he just exploded in unexpected ways, that we sort of let him. And just be like, yeah, let him go, and especially live. And we all knew it was something. I mean, we played it up like, this is something. This is cool. So what are we going to do?
And then I sing.
Then when he leaves, say, oh, it was nothing. Like...
Actually, Wayne, I think on some basic levels, I think we started to get burnt out, too. I really do. Because we recorded and we toured constantly. We were constantly doing stuff. And I think, honestly, I started doing more drugs, and Ron became more and more of a paranoid and just always agitated. And I think on just some real basic levels, we just got burnt out.
So the band really retooled at that point, and I remember the parking lot experiments. You would show up. You would ask people to show up voluntarily at a parking garage.
Flyers.
And we're going to give you a cassette. Everybody's going to get handed a cassette with your car, and Wayne, sort of in the carnival barker role with a megaphone, saying, "Start your engines, ladies and gentlemen. 1, 2, 3, countdown," and everybody presses the button, and the symphony from all these car
Massive
stereos would be going on.
Yeah.
And each of those cassettes had an individual track or an individual part. Wasn't the same thing exactly, right?
Well, I mean, it would depend. It was you treated it much like an orchestra.
Yeah.
If you wanted there to be 40 John Coltrane's playing, you put 40 on tape playing different things. Or if you wanted to be a dog barking over there while a harp player played right in front of you, well, you just do it. I mean, it was meant as organized sound, and you could really do whatever you wanted.
It was cacophony, but at the same time, everybody had this big goofy smile on their face, kind of like, this is just ridiculous, and the ridiculousness of it all was part of the fun.
And again, we have to sort of, the mindset of people at the time, I think we were all thinking, man, I wish something new would happen. I wish someone would take a chance. And whenever I say that, I always go, why don't we? I mean, why don't we be the ones to do something new or take a chance or whatever?
It was almost as if having the pressure off. Warner Brothers is going through a lot of changes here, too.
Well,
All the
exactly.
people who signed you the
Yeah,
label were gone, and it was almost, I think the famous quote you had is, we were like a cockroach scurrying under the rug.
Exactly.
When you turned on the light. We didn't want anybody to realize we were still around so they couldn't fire us. And we'll just come back and make a record when there's a new regime.
Yeah, or not make too much of a fuss, demand very much. It's sort of like, we're over here making art, don't worry about us. When
Right,
you get your
exactly.
business sorted out, we'll be here to, to help you
But your
out.
last record only sold 19,000 copies, and
Which is the chronic thing. But, so in retrospect, we look at the history, and it's like they did this 2-year period of sonic adventurousness and weirdness, and then they came and gave us this pop masterpiece. Let's talk about Soft Bulletin.
Well, I mean, I think the signature song, when people think of if there's a song associated with this optimism or whatever, this thing that accompanies the Soft Bulletin, has to be like Race for the Prize. I mean, that's become one of our songs. I don't even remember what our lives were like before we had a song like Race for the Prize, Race for the Prize, I think, was a song that the melody, the Was it? How's the melody?
Yeah, I
go?
had that for a long time. That thing there, and we thought it sounded like it could be a car commercial or theme.
Yeah,
or something
yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
And, well, actually, the funny thing, Wayne, is like on Clouds Taste Metallic, there's a couple of songs that I brought in, and Wayne turned them into Christmas at the Zoo and these songs about animals. And I was like, man, Jesus Christ, I hope he doesn't do another song about animals, And so we've been poking around with these melodies for a long time, and then he came up with the lyrics that he did for Race for the Prize. And that seemed to me that was a big turning point, because that was one of the early songs we did for that.
Now you're singing about jogging around the lake with your brother.
Yeah.
Racing for the prize. And knowing your father's dying of cancer, and he's not. There's nothing. People say things like, "Let's cure cancer." Well, who?
I hope somebody gets to work while I'm.
I don't know if you could have written that directdirectly about something that personal in your life. The guy I met in '93 wasn't writing like that.
Well, I mean, that's what I mean. I mean, the experience changes you. Luckily for me, and the band, in a sense, it changed us for the better. It made it seem like this was a way that we could do our art and express ourselves and still be a band and still be weird, but we could really sing about our inner life without restriction.
We're going to continue our discussion with Wayne Coyne and Steven Drozd of the Flaming Lips after a short break, and then it's time for Jim to add a track to the Desert Island Jukebox. That's in a minute on Sound Opinions from Chicago Public Radio and American Public Media.
Welcome back to Sound Opinions from Chicago Public Radio and American Public Media. I'm Jim DeRogatis. My partner is Greg Kot, and you are listening to a bit of Do You Realize by the Flaming Lips from Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots. Yoshimi, along with the Soft Bulletin, marked a real departure for the band in terms of the way they wrote songs, the way they performed them live, and the sound of the group itself. Before we wrapped up our chat with Wayne Coyne and Steven Drozd, we asked them to play a song from one of these albums.
If you guys could do a song from one of those records, I mean, just, pick one that you think is kind of representative.
I mean, if there's a song, even though it's called Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots, that song is, in a sense, I think, still that bubblegum kind of thing. Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots has been interpreted a million different ways, and yet it still feels like you understand. Everybody kind of understands what it's about. Still, that to me feels like a psychedelic, whimsical song, even though I think it's placed within.
But they can understand David and Goliath. They can understand the little Powerpuff Girl fighting this monster, kind of thing.
And I don't think we struggled that much with that one. As the track goes, I think by then we were already finding a sound and a theme and a color to these things. And by the time we came up with Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots, the song, we felt like, that's going to work. The secret behind the Yoshimi record is that the robot kills itself, and Yoshimi is the only one that knows that. And so by her having this battle with this evil robot has sacrificed itself for Yoshimi. And Yoshimi learns a lot from this robot and says, we should be more like this robot. Yet everybody around her hails her as the hero that killed off the evil robot.
Right.
And yet she's the only one that knows there's something deeper going on. And so maybe it is those little themes that always keep it from just being forgettable or one-dimensional or whatever. But the song, I still think, feels kind of just like a normal, whimsical cartoon song. So we'll play a second of that.
Well, now we're playing it sort of live like this anyway. We're sort of doing a stripped down, just a piano and singing version. So.
And this was a chord progression that Steven had that we didn't have anything for the longest time until we stumbled upon this title, Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots. And me being the only one that knew this sort of secret story behind there, Her name is Yoshimi. She's a black belt in karate. Hey, hey! And then Michael screams that out.
Forgot to do that.
Working for the city. She has to discipline her body, 'cause she knows that it's demanding to defeat those evil machines.
I know she can beat them. Oh, Yoshimi, they don't believe me, but you wouldn't let those robots eat me. Yoshimi, they don't believe me, but you wouldn't let those robots defeat me. Those evil-natured robots,
You'll get him, Yoshimi.
they're programmed to destroy us. She's gotta be strong to fight them. So she's taking lots of vitamins. 'Cause she knows that. It'd be tragic if those evil robots win. I know she can beat them. Oh, Yoshimi, they don't believe it, but you won't let those robots eat me. Yoshimi, they don't believe me, but you won't let those robots defeat me. Yoshimi.
Now, see, that's great.
Lovely.
Critical response to Yoshimi and to Soft Bulletin were nothing short of ecstatic. Pretty much. I mean, critics kissed your butt.
Totally.
Mystics pretty much got trashed by quite a few critics.
But
I felt like that was inevitable.
yeah.
It was time for the backlash.
It's almost like bring it on, and then we'll get done with it, because this is what, and I am guilty of this as well. You can only say a band is really genius and great and important because that gives you the right to say that they suck when they suck. You know what I mean? When we started to make it War with the Mystics, I didn't really want to make something that would have to be another Do You Realize? I wasn't consciously thinking, man, we need another one of those so we can put out the greatest hits of optimistic funeral songs. I mean, I was just...
Yeah, you heard it.
we were really more than glad to just to win a Grammy for a song called the Wizard Puts on His Werewolf Moccasins, or I mean, we were more than glad to go and be a weirdo rock band, because we are that as well. And so we're not trying to be Bon Jovi. I mean, and so we probably aren't going to become Bon Jovi. You know, we're always, if we're lucky, we're always thrown into the unknown. We're confused as well. But I think that's how some art has to be made.
You know, it's like we've been doing this for hours already. We could go for 5 hours more. You guys have a show.
We do.
But thank you, Steven Drozd, Wayne Coyne.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us, guys.